Alright, today I just thought I'd just put up a quick video on chainmail tools that I use to create some of my projects. We'll just start with the simple one here. These are just basic, real inexpensive drill bits. I'm not going to use the drill part of it at all, so it doesn't really matter what they are. I mean, as long as they're, get a decent pair. Just simple drill bits. And you'll need some of these jeweler's saw blades. That's the ones you want. You want the 2/0. Here's the saw that you put it on. It's very thin blade. This is the saw that I like to use because you have this one and this one to, the length. Well, actually, this is the length that you can move it. This one tightens it in to, you just put your blade in here and here, the ends, and then you just tighten them up. And then I have this loose so then I can pull on this part of it like that. I just pull on that part of it and then I tighten this up, and that gives that spring look, that sound. So you want one of these in your blades, okay? And then you want to get a decent pair of flesh cutters. You can find them at pretty much a lot of different craft shows or craft stores. And then a round nose pliers. This is where you want to use this to make loops and whatnot like that. And some inexpensive chain nose pliers. I have these two, and then I got a box end, square nose. And they also have the bent nose, which I do have, but I don't use it much. The other thing I like to use is the caliper. It's a digital caliper. Turn it on, it has in inches, and you push this button to change the mode. Then you got in fractions, and then you got in millimeters. So this is really helpful. This is the most expensive part of the whole thing that you would buy if you wanted to really get into doing chainmail. This will save you a lot of time to have something like this. For instance, let's just grab a drill bit here. I'll put it on there, close it. Okay. That one shows it in inches, right? And then if I want to find out what the actual size of the ring would be, it's 11/64 on the inside diameter. And then of course it goes into millimeters, and that's when you want to use this part of it, the millimeters, because a lot of websites and tutorials, they talk about millimeters. Well, this is what you want to use to figure out your different aspect ratios. So this is a really good tool to use. I like using this one. And you could also, if you're unsure of what size the rings are, this little thing here, you put it inside the ring and you open it up and it'll tell you the size of your rings. Well, let's just use this as an example here. Just a paper clip. I'm going to find out what this right here is. So let's put this in there, and that is 6.49 on millimeters. And if I change that, there's inches, and then I hit it again, that's 1/4 of an inch inside diameter. So this tool comes in really handy. I use it a lot, I really do. Paper clips are always good to hold on to your work. You just loop your whatever project you're working on in here, and then I bring it all the way down to this end, and then I got something to hold on to while I'm working my chain. And then I have one of these, just a real simple pick, so in case you got to get into really tight areas to open it up. And then of course this is just a 1 foot. I cut it off at 12 inches, so it's 1 foot. And that is what I use to measure out my wire. I'll give you a quick example here. And this is kind of why I like to use. It's a German wire. It's a little stiffer. I like using this one a lot because it does have that stiffness. There is, as artistic wire is good. It's just a little more, it's not quite as firm, tight, or whatever you want to call it. But this is what I use, 20 gauge. This is one of them that I use a lot, 20 gauge. I just snip that end off. And then I find out where the end of this is, the top of it. I think it's that one. And snip that end off. I like to kind of keep it rolled up with this on there because it kind of keeps everything together, so it doesn't go sprawling all over the place. And then I just push this through there to grab a hold of my wire. And I always do, so if I take my ruler, I'll hold my thumb there on that end, and I'll leave some space on this end, and I'll show you why. I'll cut a piece and show you. So I give myself a little bit, you know, I give myself a little bit there on the end. Doesn't have to be exact. And then I take my wire. The reason I use 1 foot lengths is because it works out perfectly on these drill bits. So let's say, let's go with 20 gauge wire. I'm going to use a 1/8 drill bit. So to find out, because the numbers are wore off of these because I use them a lot, so I just grab this thing. Oh, that's 964. And there's my 1/8 inside diameter. It's in fractions, so it's the inside diameter of your ring. They call it the ID. Okay, so I know what that is, so I just take my wire. And the reason I give it that little extra length is because I bend this bit here, just bend it over, and just I line it up close to where the actual drill part starts working, and I just take and twist that around so I got a place to hold it with my thumb. I just hold it like that, bring this down to where it kind of straightens it out, and just use my thumb and finger and just wrap around. It takes a little bit of time, but it's worth it if you like doing chainmail. See, this gives you 1 foot of wire rolled up into rings. See, there you got all coiled up, nice and neat. And I just take that and take it off the drill bit. So I got my little coil here. And then I'll take, this is something else you'll want to get. I just buy these, any grocery store will have them. They're just skewer sticks. And they work out great for, I mean, this will last a lifetime, but anyway, these, they come in different sizes. So I use those a lot for, if I can find the right one, got a whole bunch of them here. And if they're too big, if the diameter is too big, you can just use sandpaper and sand them down to where they fit right. So there you got, that fits pretty good. And then I just use that. Move that out of the way. And then I got, of course, I just grabbed, you can use anything. I just use, I had a piece of leather that I use to catch the rings when I cut them. And of course, you probably want to get any kind of beeswax, any kind of wax. As you can see, I use this a lot. And I take, this is a dull blade. I'm going to change it just to show you how to do it. So, I'm just take this, loosen that up, loosen that one up, and take your blade out. These are all wrapped up in a little thin wire to keep them all together. Just grab a hold of one. And the teeth have to go, when you're looking at your blade, you want the teeth, they're at angles, so you want the teeth going towards your handle. I need a magnifying glass to really be able to see that, but I really can't see it too well. But you can see the teeth on there a little bit. Yeah, not very good. But anyway, you want the teeth to go towards your handle, the direction of your handle. Okay, so it goes that way, I think. I run my finger along and I can feel it grabbing, so I know that the teeth are pointing that direction. So I go this way, it's a little bit smoother. Yeah, magnifying glass, I use a lamp, magnifying lamp when I do my work. Just slide one in, slide the other one in, let them sit down in there, loosen this up on the bottom. Just give a little tap so you kind of know they're in there. I just go hold my thumb on one end to where I know it's going to grab, it's not going to fall out of there, and then tighten up the other end. And then it's just still pretty loose, so then I grab a hold of this with my hand, pull it, I guess this using this on the palm of my hand, pull it to give it some tension, and then just tighten that up. And then you want it to sound like a guitar string. Twang. So then you take your saw blade and your little cutters. I snip off that little tail on the end just to get it out of my way. And see, but that's how I use mine. Use them a lot. You end up with this little groove in your dowel, which is good because it kind of keeps everything in line. So it's got that little groove in there, and it changes over time when you use it because it just does. Because you're cutting this dowel also. So I just line it up with that. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. I do all this by hand because I don't have a remote control for this. Not sure if the angle's any good, but we'll see. And I just line it up with, see, I line that up with that groove in the dowel there. And I want to keep my blade lined up with that dowel. That way you're going to get a nice clean cut. You want to keep it as straight as you can. And I just use my fingers, hold it in there, and just start cutting. I'm not going to cut all this, but I'll just show you a little bit. See, and as I cut, there's my rings. I just twist them till they pop off of there. And then they land on top of and they just land there, and then I scoop them up and put them on my work board. But yeah, that's how I cut rings. But you always want to make sure that you keep your blade lined up as close as possible, lined up with your dowel. That's going to give you a nice clean cut. Always try to line that up. And then with that part of it, let's stick these on that board, roll this up. And then I went ahead and got some inexpensive trays. These are like you find cafeterias. You can buy these. The place I got them was Cash and Carry, but I'm sure you can find them at different places. They're just a basic plastic table, carrying tray. They have different sizes. I bought 2 different sizes. And then I found Volex. It's a fabric. It's an actual blanket. And I decided to experiment with it. And you just glue this down onto here, and you get a nice workspace. And your beads and your rings and everything will stay put while you're working on it. It won't roll around and whatnot. And what I use to I tried different glues. I haven't tried this one yet, but I'm gonna try it. This is an all-purpose spray adhesive, and it tells you right down here, it'll glue to plastic, fabric, and all that. So I'm gonna try it on this one later today, and glue it down, and of course put something on top to weight it in. Yeah, I made one. I made a couple of them. I made one with just the your basic beading mats, and I glued this down. It's just a bead mat, and I glued it down. See, here's some of the projects that I made. Here's one. It's a spiral, and then I made a Celtic weave, and then this one. I can't pronounce the name correctly, but some of you probably know what it is. This is pretty heavy. It's 18 gauge wire. If I ever do a necklace, it'll be 18 gauge, but it'll be in aluminum. And then these one, that one, and this one are my latest ones, along with this one. This is your Helms weave, and then they just put in a ring here, a doubled up ring, and brought it in to where it did that swirl, the wavy look. And there's one person I know that knows how to do the wave look. She did it with the European foreign one, which I'm going to try that. And of course, what I did, I mixed colors. This is just your basic full Persian. That's pink and purple, and I thought I'd put a little heart on the end of it. That's your clasp. And this one's the dragon's back. These 2 different colors. Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of stuff you can do when you get into it. Just watch tutorials. YouTube's got a ton of them. Mail.com is another one. Because this is what the your spiral is going to look like when it's unwound. See? And then you just do the magic trick and twist it. I call it the magic trick. And then you get a spiral. And see, what I do on a lot of my stuff, this one's a little hard to get started, so I left me a piece, like, a length, to where I can just go ahead and twist up the end here, get it started, and there you go. I can start at that point right there. I don't have to go through the problem of starting from the very beginning, because it is a little tedious to get that, but then I can just start right here. and start on this end and just keep on going. It's so much easier. And I do that with a lot of different ones. As you can see, I got a whole bunch of different just ends that I did for, like this is a half version, 3-in-1. And then there's a round mail. I think that was a round mail, yeah. There's another round mail, and I thought, okay, I'm going to see how small I can get it, just for fun. So then I just start at the end here, and just keep on going. And just cut it off where I need to, and there I got my bracelet, or necklace, or whatever. But yeah, little pieces like this help out a lot. It saves you a lot of time. I did a dragon scale. This is 20 and 22 gauge wire. 20 is the bigger ones, 22 is the inside gold ones. But I use this also, I use the end of it. I'll start here and work my way out. And it works out great. You don't have to go through the hassle of starting out. You just start right here and just keep on going, and it makes it so much easier. But anyway, that is, well, yeah, you can get, you know, make earrings. This weave is your Japanese 12 and 2. Just little earrings. I thought I'd put a bead in the middle of it, and it worked out pretty good. So anyway, that is what I know as far as what I do on how do I make chainmail jewelry. There's a whole bunch of tutorials out there. I recommend you checking them out. But yeah, that's pretty much my gig. That's what I do. So, well, yeah, I'm gonna see if I can come up with it. There is a program you can download, Ring Calculator, and I'm gonna see if I can pull that up on my screen. I'll have to record it off of this one because I'm using my screen to record this so I can see what I'm doing. But I'm gonna see if I can record that to show you how I use my calipers. I use my calipers and that program to figure out if I want to make the rings a different gauge wire. I use those two, this and that, to come up with the right size rings, ID size rings that I need for that project, whatever it may be. But yeah, I combine that and this together, and it gives me the correct size I need. So I'm going to see if I can do that. Hopefully I can do that today, and I'll have 2 videos. So anyway, thanks for watching. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.